One of the first things that I look for is just making sure that it's going to grab my attention. So I want something that's going to pop and something that stands out from everything else. The next thing I want to make sure is that I'm getting the information that I've asked for. So in the application, make sure you read through it first, see what they're asking for, and then answer the question. The last thing in terms of that I would be looking for is to make sure that it's short and concise. I don't want a long diatribe, I don't want a long history, I want recent history, short, concise. Some of the things that will stop me from reading is too much information or not relevant information. Some of my other pet peeves when it comes to resumes is how it's presented. You've got to think, I'm looking at resumes over and over again, so I want something to stand out. So I particularly don't like it when people use Word and use just a black heading or the blue heading that comes up in Word all the time. I want something that stands out. So just change the colour. If you're going to use Word, just change the colour or look for a product that can help you write your resume in a different format so it sticks out to me. The other thing is making sure that you have footers on the page to say your name, what the page number is and what the document is, particularly if you're having to supply a resume and a selection criteria. When I go to print them off, they don't always print off in order, and often you're printing off more than one application at a time, so I want to make sure that I can sort all of that. So making sure that that footer is there is really important as well. So one of the essential items straight away that I want to see is your employment history. Often that gets lost down the bottom of the page, but I want to see that up the top. I've got a lot of resumes to see and not a lot of time, so I want to see the information I need straight away. It's fine to give me a little brief history up the top about who you are and what you want to achieve in life, but most often all I want to see is that employment history, closely followed by some good relevant references. So I don't want to have a reference of some grandma's auntie's friend. I want recent, current references, preferably somebody who you're working with currently, your manager at the time. If it can't be that, and we understand it can't always be, someone who's very relevant, someone who you might be working with, and then maybe down the track we can get your current manager. But somebody who you're working with currently is who I really want to see. The other things that maybe some extras that I don't want to see. I don't want to see your photo on the resume. I don't need to know your date of birth. So just really, once again, the information that I asked for. My last recruitment, I had over 150 applicants apply. I just don't have that much time on top of running a busy medical centre to be thoroughly reading 150 resumes. So it is inevitable I'm going to have to skim through some resumes. So firstly, I'll put it down if there's no relevant experience, and in particular if that's what I've asked for. But once again, if it doesn't pop to me, if it doesn't stand out to me, if you've made some pretty big errors in terms of not delivering the answers, lots of spelling mistakes, if it's messy, if it doesn't flow well, then I will put it down. If it's a good resume that's nicely set out with the information that I've asked for, I will absolutely read it from beginning to end, and probably more than once. Good layout, I want to make sure I know all the information about you straight away. So I'd like to hear about your employment history, what your education history's been like, and any references that you have. Specifically, if an application asks you for a certain amount of references, provide that certain amount of references. Don't provide 5 if they've asked for 2. Don't provide 2 if they've asked for 5. The other thing that you'd be looking at, if you have them, is any academic awards that you've received or awards for service or something like that, and any community service that you might have done or volunteer type work. Particularly if I'm looking for a graduate, they're the kinds of things that I want to see, just to make sure that you're involved in what you do, that you like doing what you do, and that you're really interested. And those kinds of things stick out to me as somebody who is really wanting to be involved in what they do, how they work.